This week on Unapologetic Uplift.
When your consciousness is low, you're operating from that survival mode. You're reactive. You're stuck in black and white thinking. And really, you see threats everywhere, controlled by your ego and your past programming and living in fear. When it's high, you're operating from creation mode. You're responsive. You can see nuance and complexity. You can hold that complexity. You trust yourself and the universe. Too many people think feeling good is the key to raising consciousness, but it's actually being good at feeling. Your trauma creates beliefs, patterns, and reactions that literally cause you to run on autopilot. And until you heal that trauma, you're going to keep repeating the same cycles at the same level of consciousness. You are not a victim. You are a creator. And when you own that, everything shifts. Everything. Welcome to Unapologetic Uplift. I am your host, Kim Staples, joined by my beautiful co-host, Ianthe Mauro. Welcome, welcome. Let me put my phone on silent, friends, so that doesn't happen again.
Keeping it real with Kim and Ianthe.
Always. So let's talk about consciousness, because if you've been around here for a hot minute, you've heard both Ianthe and I say that elevating your consciousness is necessary if you want to break cycles, raise conscious kids, and stop repeating patterns that you hate. But what the fuck does that actually mean? And more importantly, how do you actually do it? Because most people think raising consciousness is some woo-woo spiritual thing that requires you to meditate for hours, live out in the forest, or talk in that breathy spiritual voice that makes everyone uncomfortable. And surely meditation does help, but raising your consciousness isn't about perfecting some spiritual practice. It's about expanding your capacity to see, feel, and respond from a higher version of yourself instead of operating from ego, trauma, and conditioning, really. And here's why this matters for you. And especially I'm going to talk about as a mom, because it's super important for those of us that are moms. Your level of consciousness directly impacts how you show up in your life, how you raise your kids. Low consciousness keeps you stuck in reactivity, judgment, control, and fear. High consciousness allows you to respond with presence, compassion, boundaries, and love. Low consciousness repeats cycles. High consciousness breaks them. So if you want to stop yelling at your kids, stop people pleasing, stop abandoning yourself, stop feeling triggered all the time, you have to raise your consciousness.
Yeah, and I love that we're defining a term here and here's the thing, you can chat GPT this, you can Google this, and you can go to an encyclopedia if you're really old and do this. You can look up what the definition of consciousness is, but I want to give you a little insight here. When you're looking to those places for the definition of something, please bear in mind that whose definition are you getting? Ask yourself that. So if it's ChatGPT, you're probably getting every definition that's ever been available online deduced down into a language that you can recognize because of your relationship with that source, right? That resource. If you're looking at the encyclopedia, you have to look at who is it that originally penned those. Who is that? Because it's going to go through their filter and that's their definition. My point of this, without giving more examples, my point about this is you get to, when it comes to a term like consciousness, you get to actually search yourself, and I implore you to do it. What does consciousness mean to you? When you hear it, have you ever really thought about it? What does it really mean? Because it is a word that's thrown around a lot, and we're guilty of it. So what does it mean? So if I ask myself that, like as an example, or do you want to tell me what you think it means? Like just from you.
We both can, but go ahead. Yeah, we both can.
Yeah, well, I'm thinking about it now because I've never posed this question to myself. And this is why our podcast is so important to me, is it does allow me the space to pose questions that I may not otherwise, because I'm so busy doing the things in the day that are required of me, that I may not sit and have this kind of philosophical moment with myself. And I
It's
love it.
increasing
So,
your consciousness.
and that's an example of it. Exactly. So if I were to define, if you went to the Ianthe chat and asked, what is consciousness? What does it mean? Well, here's my answer today. And I say today because I'm allowed to change my mind, grow, and have a different opinion. And it might be that I actually have a different definition if you ask me in 10 days or in 10 years. But right
Yeah.
now, today, okay, so give yourself grace on that if you do change your mind a lot, which I do. It means that also you're on a path to learning, growing, knowing, and all of that. It's a good sign. Changing your mind is a good sign. So here we go. Consciousness. Consciousness is the ability to gather and process information in a way that is, and noticing how it affects your body and noticing how your decisions are made. And so when we talk about higher low consciousness, the reason there's this distinction that there's a higher consciousness or grow or having a higher consciousness or a low consciousness is because if you're gathering information and it's entering your body and you're paying attention to how it reacts in your body and you're making decisions from that place, then it leads to the higher consciousness place would be that you're not, like what Kim pointed out, you're not making a decision rashly or from a place of just putting out a fire. You're actually leading from a place that's in alignment with your spirit, with alignment with your core values. Okay. So if you're doing things based on the information you receive and you're aligning that with your highest and best, your core values, the things that you will not waver on, the things that are the most important to you, then you're going to be in a higher consciousness. And if you do the opposite, which is to react because in the ego, it feels good to react. It feels good to be mean. It feels good in that moment to be that bitch, for lack of a better way of putting it. If you're just doing that, that's definitely lower consciousness, because what you're not doing is allowing yourself that sacred pause to say, well, wait a minute. Why am I getting triggered like this? Why am I feeling like this? And before I respond, I need to search myself. And where am I out of alignment, possibly? And what is needed and required of me to really show up with my highest and best? And those are all conscious thoughts. They're not happening to you. These are conscious thoughts because you're taking the time and energy to actually ask yourself, is this okay for me? What am I tolerating? And what am I willing to do here? And that is a form of consciousness. And I'm sure we could come up with another esoteric, but today, with what we're talking about, that's what's coming to me about what consciousness means. Back to you.
Totally. Yeah, no, that's perfect, Ianthe. I'm probably just going to reiterate what you said. Like
Go for it.
your consciousness is your level of awareness at the end of the day, right? It's how much of reality you can perceive, how you can interpret what you perceive. Think of it like this. Your consciousness is either more closed and restrictive or more open and aware and unconditionally loving, which is essentially what you just said. Like the higher your consciousness, the higher your vibration, and vice versa. When your consciousness is low, you're operating from that survival mode. You're reactive. You're stuck in black and white thinking. And really, you see threats everywhere, controlled by your ego and your past programming and living in fear. When it's high, you're operating from creation mode. You're responsive. You can see nuance and complexity. You can hold that complexity. You trust yourself and the universe. You're connected to your higher self and your intuition and living in love, living in love. And here's the thing that most people don't understand is you're not stuck at one level of consciousness. You can move up and down the scale based on your nervous system state, your unresolved trauma, your beliefs, and your awareness, which means you can intentionally raise it. like emotional intelligence. It's not a set thing that, and your level of consciousness determines everything at the end of the day. It determines how you interpret what happens to you. It determines how you react or respond. It determines what you're capable of creating. It determines the quality of your relationships. It determines whether you're breaking cycles or repeating them. Let me give you an example, if I may. Your kid has a meltdown in the grocery store. At a low level of consciousness, you interpret this as, oh, my kid is embarrassing me. People are judging me. I'm a bad mom. I need to control this situation right now. You react from shame, fear, and ego. You yell, threaten, or shut down. You actually make it worse. You feel terrible. You repeat the pattern that maybe your parents used on you. At a high level of consciousness, you interpret this as, my kid's dysregulated. Their nervous system is overwhelmed. This isn't about me. They need co-regulation. You respond from presence, compassion, and sovereignty. You stay calm, set a boundary if needed, and help them regulate, essentially breaking the cycle and modeling emotional intelligence for your child. Same situation, completely different outcome. The only difference is your level of consciousness. And this applies to everything: your marriage, your business, your friendships, your relationship with yourself, your ability to manifest, your spiritual gifts, all of it impacted by your consciousness. So if you want different results, you have to raise your consciousness.
So beautiful. And if you're still having any trouble or you're struggling at all with how you're defining consciousness, I can invite you to do this little game that I play when I'm trying to define a term, which is define the opposite. So what's the opposite of consciousness? How about unconscious? So what happens when you're truly unconscious is you're not responding to any stimulus. Like, let's say you're actually unconscious, and you all know what that means. You're literally like, you're unconscious. So you're not getting any stimulus responses. You're not getting to process anything because you are not capable. So that's the opposite, which then is a tip off for what consciousness is. So that, and you said it beautifully, Kim, it's about how you're responding to stimulus and awareness. It's awareness, right? It's that simple. And things can be really simple. And I love this because it gives us all an opportunity, even me. Here's another, wow. I actually was making myself very wrong this morning. I was mad at myself. And that's always a sign to me. Now, there's a couple things I have to say about that. One is, it's good to self-reflect. It's part of having higher consciousness. It's not always pretty and easy. And so, but the difference is you can do that exercise without having to be mad at yourself and make yourself wrong. That's the part that wasn't high consciousness for me. So as I'm just looking at myself, even just today, this very day, just before recording this episode for all of you who I'm sending so much love to right now, if you're being hard on yourself today, like I was, how is that? Let me ask you, how is that helping raise your consciousness? Guess what? It's not. But it's not a bad exercise to notice and recognize and be real with yourself, because it's also not just everybody gets a trophy and yay, I'm okay, I'm good. It's not me. No, actually, sometimes it is me. Sometimes I did mess up. That's great. And that helps, right? Without making me wrong about it.
Yeah, you can feel mad at yourself for a moment, right? It's like, feel it. Fuck, why did I do that? Ugh, I'm really frustrated with myself. Don't pretend that you're not feeling what you're feeling. Acknowledge it and feel it. But ultimately, understand what Ianthe is saying is, don't punish yourself.
Yeah,
Feel
and
it,
I was.
move on, and offer yourself the same grace and compassion you would offer your child or your best friend or somebody you want to make a good impression on.
Yeah, and it's interesting because there is it's biblical and ancient, but there's a term called mortification. And from being mortified, we can have a huge breakthrough in higher conscious and get to higher consciousness. But when we're mortified, it doesn't mean that we're making ourselves bad and wrong. And we're just noticing, wow, we did something that wasn't maybe in alignment with our core values, or maybe we did something that was against our better judgment, or we're just, it had a horrible result. And we can trace and see where we were part of that horrible result. And in doing that, there's a mortification involved because we all have an ego, whether we want to admit it or not. And our ego is there to also protect us. It's not a bad thing. When it's out of control, of course, it is a bad thing. I'm just going to say it. But when it's something we understand, it's part of our consciousness because we are aware of this. We are aware that we have this ego to keep us alive. But when the ego is not in check, and when the ego is saying, ew, you're awful. You did that. You made that decision. Now where are we? We're stuck in a very low consciousness because now it's all about us. We're now not able to see where we are able to do better and maybe get into action in a positive way. Instead, we're stuck in self-loathing and so all that self, right? Selfish stuff. So
Yeah.
mortification, when it shows up for you, I want you to find a way to thank it. Say thank you. And I'm not going to get stuck here in self-loathing. Thank you, because it is mortifying that I would make that decision. I made that decision. Ew. And I'm capable of making better decisions right now. Thank you.
Yeah, that's perfect. Thank you. Thank you for that beautiful, vulnerable share, and also like making a real life example for everybody to be able to recognize when they are maybe a little bit lower vibration, lower consciousness. So let's talk about how do you actually do this? Let me give you real practical ways that you can raise your consciousness. Let us give you, not the Instagram spiritual bypassing version, because it's also easy to do that. So first, as we always talk about here on Unapologetic Uplift, regulate your nervous system. You cannot access higher consciousness from a dysregulated nervous system, period. When you're in fight, flight, freeze, or fawn, you're operating from the reptilian brain. You're in survival mode. Your perception is narrow. You see threats everywhere, and you react from fear. You have to regulate your nervous system first. This is the foundation. There's breathwork, somatic practices, grounding, movement, vagus nerve activation, whatever works for you. But you have to learn to bring your nervous system back to a state of safety so you can access your higher brain and your intuition. This is why I talk about nervous system regulation constantly, because without it, you're stuck at a lower level of consciousness, no matter how much meditation or mindset work you do. And even beyond regulating the nervous system, healing it at the root cause. Otherwise, you're just going to be constantly regulating your nervous system. And process your emotions. Unprocessed emotions keep you stuck at a lower vibration as well. They block your consciousness from rising. Every emotion you suppress, every feeling you numb, every experience you avoid processing stays in your body and creates stagnant, dense energy that keeps you operating from a wounded, reactive place. You have to feel your feelings, all of them, without judgment, without resistance, without spiritual bypassing. Just get fucking real about how you feel. Cry, rage, grieve. Let it move through your freaking body. Too many people think feeling good is the key to raising consciousness, but it's actually being good at feeling that raises your consciousness. Because when you feel all your emotions without being controlled by them, you expand your capacity. You become less reactive and you access more of yourself. That is higher consciousness. And of course, heal your trauma. Unresolved trauma keeps you operating from your wounded child instead of your free, sovereign self. Your trauma creates beliefs, patterns, and reactions that literally cause you to run on autopilot. And until you heal that trauma, you're going to keep repeating the same cycles at the same level of consciousness. So,
Woo!
Shadow work, inner child healing, somatic therapy, whatever modality resonates with you, do the work to heal your trauma so it stops running your life.
Yes, ma'am. And I want to show you an example because you've mentioned it a few times, spiritual bypass, and I want to show you what it looks like. So I'm going to take on a character now, ladies and gentlemen, and I'm going to be the spiritual bypass queen. Here we go.
Yeah.
I'm so sick of myself. Oh, can't believe I made that decision. That was so dumb. What is wrong with me? Going to Instagram, scroll. Meme. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh, I love that, what they said. You know what? It's just love and light. Just let it be. Just let it be. I'm good. Now, what happens is she good? No, she's not good. Her body, she hasn't processed shit. She's just looked at a cute meme and then allowed herself to be distracted by that stimulus for long enough to pretend that she's okay, and she's not okay. And I want to also add this. Kim teaches all of this. Here's the other thing. If it comes up in your body when Kim is saying, you have to do your nervous system regulation, you have to do this and that. I want to tell you something. Maybe you didn't say have to. I can't remember the words you used, so I apologize. But it's that energy of, this is really important, right? This is really important for you to do. If you notice a resistance because you say, because I've been there, this was me, where I say, no, because the things that I do, they're working for me. I'm still a productive human in the world. I still get some results. So if I start to look at where I've got a problem with my nervous system, everything, all the cards, this house of cards might just fall to the ground. And that scares me because I've built this house of cards with all of my trauma, and it's still there and it looks pretty. So shut up and stop telling me that I'm supposed to figure it out. I'm okay. Okay. I'm productive. I'm not that crazy. I'm not that crazy person over there. I'm not that other person over there. I've got to tell you, people come to me for advice. I'm good. Now, this is things that I've said to myself in the past. Okay. Here's what happens though. Yeah. So here's what happens. All of that is true. And it's also not serving you because that is you are valuable beyond working from your place of trauma. You have way more value than that. And you have way more ability, and you have no idea. And trust me, because I'm on the other side of it. Sometimes I'm not, but I am right. I am usually consciously working to be on the other side of this. So instead of all of these fears and traumas keeping you in this place where even if you look good doing it, you're not good inside. This is where you go to someone like Kim, because Kim actually teaches this. If you're a woman listening right now and you're thinking, I don't even know where to start, and this all sounds awful and heavy lifting and yuck, then you need to reach out to Kim, and you can DM her on any of the social medias. You can also comment here where, if you're listening or watching on any of the channels where we have our podcast right now, and you can say, I need to know about your program. And she has a program, Divine Activation. And if you're a woman, so it's all women right now, doesn't mean that if you're a man listening that there isn't help for you too, and we can give you resources. But right now, Kim teaches a daily, 5 days a week morning practice that only takes you 20 minutes to regulate your nervous system. And you're not doing it alone. And you never have to talk about your feelings and you don't have to process anything. You just show up. Nervous system regulation happens through a couple of modalities. Kim leads it, and it's brilliant. So if you were at all worried about how to start this, or thinking, there's no way I can do this because I don't have time. And by the way, I don't have time to unravel all the crap that's keeping my cards up. This is the time, as we know from our guest, Melissa Yamaguchi, that we had recently, about what's happening in the energy of the earth right now, with going from year of the snake to year of the horse, that it's about taking action right now. And you have to be in action. There's an action that you can take right now towards your raising your consciousness. And that action is, you'll fill in the blank, but it might be joining Kim and I in her group. I'm in her group. I love it. So I just had to tell you that that's there for you as a resource if you're listening right now and thinking, I don't know where to start.
Yes, we welcome you with open arms. So much there. You deserve a standing ovation for your acting.
That was... Yes, I think I should start taking on characters as part of our podcast. Who else do you want me to be?
And I think you should consider acting again when you
I do.
when you
I do. Yeah, I love acting, and I love thinking and imagining what it's like to be in someone else's experience, because I love humans. So It's fun for me.
Yeah, it shows. It shows. It's so good. And also, thank you for touching on the fact that healing isn't linear. She, again, using real life example of herself saying, most of the time I'm on the other side of this. But, you know, it isn't linear. Healing never ends. It's a lifelong journey. There's no, like, so many of us think there's a finish line with it. There's no finish line. It's constantly evolving, and we resist it so much. I also resisted it most of my life. And there's a reason why I'm so passionate and why I have committed my life to helping other people do this. And it is because of how drastically it changed my life when I finally opened myself up to the idea of doing the work. And I promise you, the fear and pain of resisting it is so much worse than actually doing it. We psych ourselves up and convince ourselves that we're going to fall apart and it's going to be so terrible. And it isn't always easy. And there are big emotions that come with it, but it is much easier than the alternative of living in low consciousness and being addicted to suffering and living in guilt and fear. It's a freedom. There is a massive fucking freedom that comes along with it.
Mm-hmm. Amen.
Yeah, and I'm putting it on do not disturb because I'm getting notifications on this as well. Sorry, folks. But there are other things that you can also do to raise your consciousness that we didn't mention, aside from regulating the nervous system and healing the trauma. So, question.
No, I have one too, I said. So let's go.
Oh, okay.
Let's see if we have the same
Awesome.
one or if I have a different one to add. We'll see.
Yeah. Question your beliefs. Like, your beliefs create your reality, and most of your beliefs were installed by other people when you were too young to question them. You're walking around with beliefs about yourself, about the world, about what's possible that aren't even yours. And those beliefs are limiting your consciousness. So please start questioning everything. What do I actually believe? And why do I believe this? Is this even true? Does this belief serve me or limit me? And when you find beliefs that are keeping you small, scared, or stuck, release them, reprogram them, choose new beliefs that align with who you're becoming, because you cannot access higher consciousness while holding on to limiting beliefs. Your beliefs either expand you or contract you. And with that, your consciousness is expanding, open, or contracted, close. Practice presence. Most people are living in the past or the future, replaying old stories, worrying about what's next. And when you're not present, you're not conscious. Consciousness exists in the now, this moment right here. The more present you become, the more aware you become. The more you can see, the more you can feel, the more connected you are to yourself, to others, to the divine. Practice being here in your body in this moment with what is. This is where meditation can help. Mindfulness, just slowing the fuck down and noticing what's actually happening instead of living in autopilot. And this, the more present you become, the more conscious you become, this is where you start to activate like that euphoric, where you can feel euphoric in your body, where you can be high on life and not need substances. But it's kind of a double-edged sword because you have to give them up to really access the highest levels of consciousness. Cultivate compassion for yourself and others, because low consciousness operates from judgment, separation, and fear. High consciousness operates from compassion, connection, and love. The more compassion you can hold for yourself, for your kids, for other people, for the world, the higher your consciousness rises. And this doesn't mean tolerating bad behavior or abandoning your boundaries. It means seeing the humanity in yourself and others, recognizing that everyone is doing the best they can with the level of consciousness that they have, choosing that love over fear. And it starts with you. Stop judging yourself. Stop shaming yourself. Stop treating yourself like the enemy, because you cannot raise your consciousness while you're at war with yourself. And then, of course, do the spiritual work. And yes, there is a spiritual component to this, because consciousness is spiritual. Meditation, prayer, energy work, connecting to something greater than yourself, developing your intuition, learning to read energy, opening your spiritual gifts. You don't have to follow a specific religion or tradition, but you do have to acknowledge that you are more than just your body and your mind. You are a soul having a human experience. And when you connect to that truth, your consciousness ultimately expands.
Oh, so good, Kim. That was so good. And I have two to add. These are ways to raise your
Woo!
consciousness. Two subjects.
Yeah.
One is called Clichés, and the other one is
As we should do
called
a drum roll, huh?
Cliques. Yeah, I had to have a dramatic pause there. Clichés and Cliques. So here's how you can raise your consciousness. Number one, notice
Yes.
where you're using a lot of cliches, because that's usually a sign that you're not really deeply asking yourself from a higher consciousness place how you're feeling about it, something, or because of these defaults. I'll give you an example. If you're one of those people that says, my bad, or it's all good, those are
Hey,
cliches. And when you
girl.
say, yeah,
That's all
well,
that's coming into me.
hey, girl's not
Sorry
so
if
bad.
anybody says
That's not,
that, but
no, hey,
There was
girl's
a
not,
there was a phase though where every person that does any type of online marketing, multi-level marketing would drop in your
open with that.
DMs.
Hey, girl.
You do you remember this? It's
And
like,
you go,
"Hey
girl. Then it was
girl."
and you go, girl, which is even older. So anytime you notice yourself falling into these cliches, it's a moment to stop and ask yourself, what do I really mean? And that's a higher consciousness
Mhm.
question. Okay. Like what Kim was talking about. You're really asking. Now, what do I mean about cliques? So the people that you surround yourself with, and that could be virtually and it could be in real life, but take notice, who are you spending the most energy on and with? Because if that's a person that constantly has a negative response to stimulus, that's not going
Mhm.
to help raise your consciousness. And by the way, I'm so sorry to tell you this. I know from experience. Listen to me. You're not going to save them and give them a dose of positivity just by being around them. And it's not your frickin' job. Okay. So notice I say cliques because those aren't your real friends. So real friends, here's what real friends do. Real friends encourage you to be in higher consciousness states of being, which is compassionate, loving, all of the things that Kim explained. So if you notice that your friends, like I've noticed lately, I have a very simple thing that I ask myself, is this person a giver or a taker? And I know right away. And if they're a
Mm.
taker, I might have time for one or two takers in my life every once in a while. But if you're a taker and you're trying to get into my life right now, I don't have space for you. And I love you. I want you to do well, but I don't have room for takers. I really want to be around givers. I've been a giver my entire life. It's how I
Mhm.
operate. But what I used to do is use it from an ego place. I can handle anyone's crazy because I'm a giver and I'll just give and give love unconditionally. And then they'll end up better. And I'll get to walk away the hero for having been able to tolerate this person's horrible behavior. And like you said, Kim, that we are not required to tolerate someone's horrible behavior. And it doesn't make you a better person. Ew, ick, to be able to tolerate horrible behavior. So
Right.
I'm outing myself that
Woo!
I've been that person. Yeah. So for me, it's super simple, givers, takers, but I'll tell you which one raises your consciousness, being around takers or being around givers. It's a super easy answer for me. And it's being around givers.
Right.
And
Yeah, totally.
I'm there. Like you're a giver, Kim. Like we have this great relationship. You are instantly for me, you were a giver. And I had to seek you out.
Mm.
I want to tell you all something. Kim and I met in a group. We've talked about this before, but we met in a group of women who were working on their healing in a group on a virtual platform. We had women all over the world that were coming together in this group, and maybe 20 of us or so. And Kim was one that stood out for me. I wanted to get to know her better, but the group dissolved. And then I thought to myself at this moment of who is standing out to me from the group that I'd like to reach out to and continue to have a relationship with and get to know more. and you were at the top of my list. And so had I been a person that was afraid, because I did have a moment in my mind, like, well, she's a lot younger than me. She's at a different stage in her life. She might think I'm this, like, who knows, like the negative talk that we might give to ourselves to say, maybe she doesn't want me to read. Maybe this will be dumb. Maybe I'm making a fool of myself. I had those thoughts for just like the split second because I'm human, but I know better because I do the work and I have for a long time. And I said, I don't care how she responds. I like this woman. I like her energy and I'm going to frickin' reach out. And I did. And guess what happened? Well, the rest is history. We're here now.
I'm
So
so
obviously
glad you did. Like, I'm feeling tingles throughout my entire body right now. Like, yeah,
and
so
I was
grateful that you did. So grateful that you did because it's history. Like, we're besties now. We have this podcast together and so much more than
our
this
families
podcast.
know each other and we're we're friends in real life now.
It's so beautiful. We spent a week together. It's so good and a great example of why we all should put ourselves out there when we feel that call towards somebody. It's going to.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah, I was just going to say, chances are it's going to be welcome. And in the event that it's not, if that ever were to happen, it's like their loss. Could you imagine if I had been like,
not responding?
No, you're too old to be my friend, which she's definitely not, obviously. But like, she said that you said that's what your fear was. Could you imagine what kind of human would I be to turn down a beautiful human like Ianthe, right? So just know if that ever does happen, because there are people, I've been rejected by people. And I also struggle with rejection sensitivity. So I can get in my head about it too, where I'm like, what if they don't like me? But at the end of the day, I know that it is their loss protected because I know the way that I show up for my people. And I know that anybody would be lucky to have me. And same with Ianthe. I love that you touched on your clique because literally you have to surround yourself. When I say high vibe, I don't mean like, high vibe, love and light.
We're happy all the time.
Yeah. I mean like high consciousness, people that are true to themselves and do the work. Because you become like the 5 people you spend the most time with. There are so many studies that prove this. And if those 5 people are operating from low consciousness, complaining, judging, gossiping, victimhood, trust, they will pull you down. You need to surround yourself with people who are doing the work, people who are committed to growth, people who challenge you to be better, people who reflect back your highest self.
Exactly. And that's really all we're saying here about consciousness. It's a choice that you get to make. And notice how if you're wondering like, well, oh, but I have this old friend, and I've said this before too, there are old friends and there are good friends. It doesn't mean you have to throw out your old friends, but just be very aware. But you might, be very aware. How much time are you spending on this old friend, and in what ways are you showing up from a place of higher consciousness and awareness? And where are you showing up out of habit?
Some people will go out with the bathwater, right? So to speak. Like naturally when you grow, that is part of, like one of my clients was just saying this yesterday. She's like, oh, I'm seeing some people for who they really are. So you might outgrow friendships. You set boundaries and you can seek out new communities, and that's okay. It literally is part of the process. One other thing though is take responsibility. This is a big one. You cannot raise your consciousness while you're in victim mode. As long as you're blaming other people, circumstances, or the past for your current reality, you are stuck at a low level of consciousness, baby. To take radical responsibility for your life, your choices, your reactions, your healing. This is how you reclaim your power. And reclaiming your power is how you raise your consciousness. You are not a victim. You are a creator. And when you own that, everything shifts. Everything.
Yeah. Yeah. Blame and shame have no high consciousness attachment at all. It's like if you have blame or shame, it's not helping at all, raise your consciousness. It's not the same as the awareness. And also, if you have been if you've been actually victimized by a crime or a betrayal, that's different than being in victim mode. And hopefully you know the difference, but I just want to say that from a place of compassion. If you're someone
Yeah.
who says, of course you are injured and hurt and scared and all of that. And that even more reason why you need to work on that nervous system regulation and thinking about what you really, the power that you have to control your thoughts, your mind, your nervous system, that no one no matter how violent the episode, no one can take that away from you.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah. And there's a time and place to, like like Ianthe said, sometimes we are the victim and sometimes we need to be the victim for a moment. We just don't want to get stuck as a victim per
Which
se.
is the blame shame part. Yeah, the blame, that's just an instant victim spiral. No, it doesn't
Yeah,
work.
yeah, exactly. And at the end of the day, high consciousness is connected to purpose, to contribution, to service. So serve something greater than yourself, right? When you're only focused on yourself, your problems, your needs, your desires, which have desires, but when this is your only focus, your consciousness stays small. But when you start asking, how can I serve? How can I contribute? How can I use my gifts to help others? Your consciousness expands like massively. And this doesn't mean martyring yourself or abandoning your needs. It means recognizing that you're part of something bigger and that your growth, your healing, your consciousness impacts everyone around you. The ripple effect of one person raising their consciousness impacts thousands, if not hundreds of thousands, and people just underestimate that. So here's what I need you to understand. Raising your consciousness is not a one-time thing. It's not like you do the work, hit enlightenment, and you're done. It's a lifelong practice, as we have both alluded to. You're constantly expanding and contracting, learning, unlearning, healing, growing, and that's okay. That's the whole point. The goal isn't perfection. The goal is awareness. The goal is being able to catch yourself when you drop into lower consciousness and choose differently. The goal is being able to pause instead of react, to respond from love instead of fear, to see the bigger picture instead of getting lost in the drama. That's what raising your consciousness gives you: choice, freedom, sovereignty. And that's what breaks cycles. That's what raises conscious kids. That's what creates a life where you're not controlled by your past, your triggers, or other people's opinions. So if you want to do the real work, the work that actually changes everything, start here. Raise your consciousness, regulate your nervous system, process your emotions, heal your trauma, question your beliefs, practice presence, cultivate compassion, watch your cliches, do the spiritual work, and surround yourself with those high, I don't want to say high vibe, high consciousness people, and take
Thoughtful people.
responsibility.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And serve
And
something
notice how,
greater than you.
I love that. And notice who you attract. And I'll bet it's more givers. You will still get takers, but you won't pay them any mind. They'll be like, yeah, I'm not for you right now. I want to leave you with a little exercise because I think this could potentially help so much. And it's a good reminder for myself as well. When you center yourself before entering a room, so here's how it looks. You're about to enter any room, and this could be a virtual room. It could be a Zoom that you're having a call. It could be walking into a Starbucks. It could be walking into a grocery store, a meeting, picking up your kids at the school situation. You're walking into a building. When you're walking into this, and again, if it's virtual, you're not literally walking, but when you're about to show up to a space where you're going to be around others, when I say center yourself first, so this is a high consciousness practice, I want you to take a deep breath. Just before you step in, this takes seconds, right? You're going to take a deep breath and you're going to ask yourself, show me what I meant to learn here today. You notice what I'm not saying is, where am I walking in? Show me, because my old self might have said to tell you, show me where I'm supposed to give today. But remember, I'm in a space now of wanting to be around, I'm wanting to receive, because receiving is another high form of giving. So I'm wanting to ask instead of where am I meant to give, which is beautiful. And maybe you're in that stage in your life, in which case you can use that. But the question that I'm feeling that feels very centering to me right now that I'm sharing with you is to walk in with that idea of what am I meant to learn here today? And you might have I'm not even going to go on with that. I want you to try it. And I would love to
I
hear back
love
from
it.
you how it changes if you just take that centering moment. It's just a breath and a question. That's all I'm asking you to add to your day. A breath and a question. Even if it's you're walking into a gas station. I will reveal what's happened to me when I do this because I do this. This is my normal practice. I'm still surprised by it, but it really works because it's an energetic shift that you're making that, like Kim said, has ripple effects. Now, all of a sudden, I'm more trustworthy. Why am I more trustworthy? Because I walk in centered, open to what is meant for me to be there. Why,
Open, yeah.
open, but
Mm.
also calm. I'm not chaotic energy. So we look at the opposite, right? What am I not? I'm not walking in looking for help and chaos and drama. And there can't be drama when you're
You're not
centered in that way.
egoic.
So
You're not
yes, that too.
egoic walking into the room. That's what is
Right.
screaming to me. It's walking in not as like, like
Look at me. Look at
I
me. Yeah.
am all high and mighty. I'm Ianthe, you know, which it would be easy for somebody in Ianthe's position to walk into a space in ego because she's fucking amazing and she's brilliant and talented and gifted and intuitive and has so much to offer any space that she walks into. So do not get it twisted. But she's
This is
walking
why she's my
in,
friend, people. Get friends like Kim that say that about you.
but she's walking into a room trying to see what she can learn from the other people in the room. That is like so fucking beautiful, and how all of us should be walking into any space 100% of the time. Because listen, there is one thing I know, as much as I know, as much education as I have, as much training and all life experiences I have, I know nothing.
And it's
This
from
is
that place. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's just such a beautiful example of that. And the way that, like, I have been in rooms that Ianthe has walked into online and in person, and I can tell you that she has the most inviting, nurturing energy, and people are drawn to her. They don't feel guarded or like they have to have an armor up. And I'm talking, this can be somebody that is going through the pits, the hardest time in their life, to somebody that is a fucking billionaire, which I have seen both. I have seen her interact with both ends of the spectrum, and both people open to her and loving her energy and not feeling guarded or like they have to watch their back or watch what they say. So I would say if you've gotten anything from this episode, take that and run with it.
Oh, thank you. Wow. Well, thank you all for being part of this growing. I feel like Kim and I have really committed. In case we haven't shown you, we're going to tell you, we've really committed to Unapologetic Uplift being something that sustains us, helps everyone that is meant to be helped by us by having these conversations, and we're not going anywhere. So the more you engage with us,
Hell
the more that
no.
we right? So we offer you often, and we haven't gotten very many comments, if any. So I would love to offer you again. We really are those kinds of people that love to be in response to our little ecosystem we've created here. You're part of you're part of the party, and we'd love to hear from you. So if there's anything you want to say and it's private, you can DM us. You can also just publicly write a comment. We're also open to if there's something that really bothered you in an episode, you're also welcome to share that. We're
Yeah,
we're not just asking for cheerleaders.
please.
We are our own best cheerleaders, right? And I hope you are for yourself too, but we can handle it. And
Yep.
and I just am so grateful to be able to have this ability to have these conversations, especially in times when so many of our conversations are in cliches and memes. It's not here.
Yeah.
So thank you, Kim.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes. Yes.
And we'll see you next week. Right?
Yeah. If this episode resonated with you and you want to understand what's keeping you stuck at a lower level of consciousness, I have something for you. It's a free 2-minute quiz that tells you which motherhood archetype you're living in. Even if you're not a mother, this is still applicable. It'll show you exactly what pattern you're stuck in and what needs to shift so you can start operating from a higher version of yourself. And it will also come with a roadmap to regulation specifically for whatever type you are stuck in. So go take the quiz. Link is always in the show notes. And I also am going to be doing a free reset soon. And as always, if you loved the episode, please subscribe to the Unapologetic Uplift podcast. And like Ianthe said, leave us a review. It helps more beautiful humans find us and all the stuff that we're sharing.
Thank you.
Adios.